Hey there, Chad here for the AI Content Dojo. In this video, I want to show you how simple it is to kind of just use these AI writing tools to write about pretty much anything. There's a few just key components to understand. Once you kind of understand that and you get some practice behind your belt, you'll be able to write about, well, basically anything with just a little bit of thought towards what you're trying to create. But I see the questions coming up a lot of like, how do I write a video sales letter, or how do I write a meta description, or a restaurant review, or a review of a product, or whatever, right? I mean, if you boil it all down, it's content. It's all text. So if you're a writer and you are just going to sit down and write about it, you're going to just write what you know about the topic. Obviously, that is one of the key things to keep in mind, is that these AI tools are not going to, they're assistants, right? They're not going to just auto-generate the perfect article for you for any topic, regardless of whether you know the topic or not. It's not going to work that way. It'll create something. Don't get me wrong. It will. It'll create an article of some kind that will sound legible if you superficially are aware of the topic. It might even sound like it's relevant and on topic, and maybe it would even convince you that you think it's helpful or in some way. And it might be a little bit, right? But it's not going to target a reader really closely. It's not going to follow a really good narrative thread. It's going to be very shallow. It's probably going to contain a whole bunch of misstated facts, or things that you should check on, like names and things not being real. And so I guess step one of writing about things is that, you better know it. We're not in the world where you can just auto-generate content and be successful without knowing what it is you're talking about. These tools just aren't that. Okay? They're AI assistants to help you as the topic expert, or the person who is willing to put in the work to do the research and everything to create content faster, and also give you some extra creativity to fill in your content with things that you might have forgotten otherwise to include. I just recently posted a graphic basically that shows content creation isn't just the writing step. It's not just getting the words out there. That's like the last 20% if you want to follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work is up front. You don't see it, right? It's the research, the lived experience, the wisdom of the writer, the experience that they've gone through, their skills in writing. All that other stuff is what comes first. You need to know the topic really, really well. You need to be able to write. You don't have to be a fantastic writer. These AI tools will help you with that. But the topic is something that you need to be well versed in. And you don't have to be a master of it like through 20 years of your life where you can't possibly catch up. But you got to be willing to put in the work, do the research, know the topic, so that when these AI tools don't produce what they're supposed to be producing for you, then you'll know that the facts are wrong. Or on the flip side, even better, when you know your topic so well that you can provide the proper topic words, leads, and content necessary so that the AI tools have what they need to help you produce the content. And so that's kind of what I'm going to show you right now. Because one of the questions that comes up a lot is, how do I do this, or how do I write about that? And really, when you use these tools, there's really three main components, and I'm going to show you a quick demo here first, and then we'll go through these components. So I've already got everything kind of typed up so that I don't have to type it all in front of you. This is what you could imagine is let's say you just traveled to Tokyo, and you've got a blog and you're writing about your experience, and you want the AI to help you with that. It's not necessarily like a review, but you know how travel bloggers will write about it. Kind of sounds a little like a review, but they're kind of also trying to share information about it, try and say, hey, you should go here, check this place out, I found this little place, things like that. And these AI tools can help you with that. And so this is how you might accomplish this. Think of this as your notes, right? You got the restaurant name. This is a fake restaurant. I mean, I guess it could be real, but I totally made this up. Kiro's Sushi in Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. It's the best sushi in the world. These are the notes. These are the real thoughts from you as the writer. Best sushi in the world. So fresh you can't imagine it. Absolutely the most incredible date ever. Watch the master chef effortlessly craft the sushi right at the counter in front of you. Quaint, traditional Japanese atmosphere. Impeccable service. Expensive, but so worth it. 5 stars, right? That's your notes. That's, you experienced it. You know the topic because you were there. You know what the place looks like, all that kind of stuff. And now you just want the AI to kind of help you out. If you wanted to start with the concept of a review, that would work fine. You could put something like, write a glowing 5-star review of Kiro's Sushi. In Shortly, you highlight the command and then hit Command Enter to run it. It'll wrap it in an instruct command and perform the function. So it's going to probably come up with a hopefully decent start to what might be a review. Okay. Kiro Sushi in Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan is absolutely the most incredible sushi restaurant I have ever been to in my life. Best sushi of your life, literally. So fresh, it's like a dream come true. Cheap, fast service. Okay. So you can see that it's kind of making a mistake. If you weren't paying attention, you might miss that. So that means it's not a waste. You just change this from cheap, fast service to, you know, if you want to talk about the price, or just completely remove this. Quaint traditional atmosphere, which is excellent for bringing someone on a date. It's not too cheap, not too expensive either. The perfect balance between intimacy and affordability. Again, it's talking about things that you'd probably want to change. I'm not going to go through the exercise of changing that right here in this. I'm just going to go ahead and remove this. I'm going to try a little bit of a different way of thinking about this article that you might be coming up with. How about telling an exciting story about Kiro's Sushi? Let's run this as a command and see what the tool can come up with. In this case, I'm doing this inside of ShortlyAI right now, which if you don't have Shortly, and if you don't have any AI tool, look at the description. I have a discount code to get 35% off of ShortlyAI. Hey, this is pretty cool. I thought I was going to die, but not because of food poisoning. The sushi I ate at Kiro Sushi in Shinjuku, Tokyo, on our date was the best sushi I'd ever eaten in my life. So fresh, I couldn't even imagine it. And the master chef crafting it right in front of my eyes just blew me away. I mean, that's a really good start to an article, I would say. You might even be able to keep this here now and do something like, you know, write an outline for the above, maybe. Maybe if you wanted to sort of somehow continue your article on, and see if the AI can help you craft an outline to kind of fill out. All right. Look at that. Boom. Oh, perfect. Okay. So now you have an outline. You could go through and fill in all the sections. There's also something else I want to show you is that, well, here, let's just go to the next command. Let's do summarize the above. Given that it has a pattern in front of it, so you like the 1 through 7 above it, this might cause a little bit of an issue, but we'll see. And if it doesn't, then we'll be okay. But if it does, I want to show you how you can get around that. Okay, it's just going to repeat. Sometimes it does this. Oh, it's continuing on, but it looks like it's going to, yeah. So summarizing is not a strong suit of the GPT-3 AI. It can be, but not in writing tools like this. There's separate, it's like a whole separate type of call that these tools would have to do in order to do summarizing really well. And OpenAI is they've got some strict rules against summarizing large blocks of content. So summaries don't really necessarily work that well, but you could probably, maybe how about write a conclusion? I don't know, for this article or something. These end results, the end of the article, they can be a little bit tough, but okay. And it works okay. Of course, you're the writer, you've been to this restaurant, you'd cap off this article in your own way too. With the AI assisting you, maybe you can go in here and change it up how you like to close out your articles. You might go through here and break this out and do your content. Oops. And that way you'd have a nice long article. And this is probably what, I don't know, a couple hundred words, 300 words now. Of course, after you're done writing everything, this part right here you would remove, right? And so let's talk about this for a second. The components that I was referring to, basically I started with this, right? I call this the context. This is your knowledge about the topic that you're going to write about, kind of written maybe sort of succinctly, not in a real like perfect way that you'd want someone to read it, but you're really trying to get the topic words, make sure that they're in there, make sure all your thoughts and what you want to get out in your article are there, just kind of in a summary of sorts. It doesn't have to be in a list or anything like that. It can just be like you see here, like a sort of a broken looking paragraph. It doesn't, like, where every sentence is kind of its own different thought maybe. But the point is like if you look through here, best sushi, fresh, incredible date night. These are things you would pick up on. Master Chef, at the counter right in front of you. Traditional Japanese, now it knows for sure that it's Japanese. It has Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. These are all places. The AI is aware of those things and will know how to use those in a conversation. Expensive, seeing it didn't use expensive in this thing, right? We had to go through and fix that. I guess in terms of Shortly, I can show you one thing about Shortly that might be able to help you get past. You don't want it to write about, you could do this. If you want it to say expensive, you can do something like that and see if it uses the word expensive. Yeah, okay, so that broke it. Don't do that. That's weird. Sometimes the AI just kind of gives up on you, doesn't it? It's been a while since I used these right here. This is called like granular controls. I haven't used them in a while, and I'm sure. Actually, thinking about it, there might not be a triple plus. I think it's just 2 pluses. Let's see if it tries. Essentially, it's basically trying to use the word expensive. There, okay, it used it. When you do plus plus, it's like, hey, try to use the word expensive. If you do minus minus, you're basically telling it don't use the word expensive. See if it does it. Yep. Little pricey, so it says pricey instead, right? Yeah, anyway, so those could be some ways. But essentially what I kind of want to talk about is the components of doing an article like this. You have the content with the rich topic keywords in it, your own thoughts that you're trying to get across throughout the rest of your article. And then after that, when you're trying to get your content, you have 2 things. You have commands. In the case of Shortly, we call them instruct commands. As you noticed, it starts with /instruct, right? And then whatever you want it to do, task for the AI, whatever you're trying to get from them, from the AI. You could be like, explain what has the best sushi in the world. And of course, the only thing it has in context right now is Kiro sushi. You could talk about that probably. When you run a command in Shortly, the way it works inside of here is the only thing it's aware of is whatever's inside of the square brackets and above it. To a certain degree, if you're way, way low in an article running a /instruct, it's not going to go all the way to the top. It'll go back probably 2,000 something characters or so. But it doesn't go down. So this stuff down here, that /instruct can't see that. It doesn't affect it. So if you did want this stuff to have an impact on what that / command can see, you'd make sure that it was below it. But that's one of the ways of getting content. The other way is called a lead. And that would be where you do some writing first. So the AI that's behind tools like ShortlyAI or Jarvis is very good at predicting patterns and also kind of a predictive text sort of complete, like an autocomplete, but instead of just autocompleting a word, it kind of autocompletes a sentence for you. So if you read through your article here, it says, as if this experience wasn't enough to make it the most incredible date of my life, Kiros has an impeccable service, which includes talking nicely with us while we ate our food. The sushi chef even gave us a peek at the, let's just see what happens. Like at this point, I haven't finished the sentence, and I'm just going to let Shortly take over and just see what Shortly comes up with. This is what you would call a lead. Oh, there we go. The sushi chef even gives a peek at the fish he was using behind the counter. It's hard to believe that anything we didn't come from those trays. It's awesome. Okay, so that lead is kind of what I like to call the dance. You know, like you write a little bit, the AI writes a little bit, you keep doing that back and forth throughout your article, and you end up in a situation where you've been able to kind of keep it on task, you keep it on topic, it doesn't stray too far, you get more of the content you want. The further you keep going down in the article, the more on point content it has to use to come up with more content for you, and it just does a really nice job of ending up with an article. But it's not automatic, as you can see. It's not just something generated from a few clicks of a button to get like a full article done. And so those, once again, those three components, the things that these are the three things that you really need to kind of know, so that when you are trying to create anything, not just a restaurant article like this as a traveler or something, but if you're trying to write meta descriptions for your article, or a video sales letter or anything like that, persona story, whatever it is you're trying to create, you start with the seed, the context, the content at the top of the article that is really written by you. It's your thoughts. It's everything that you want to get out in that article. Then you use a combination of commands that ask your AI assistant for things like write an outline or summarize or tell an exciting story or write a glowing 5-star review or give me some questions about, you can do all kinds of asks. Give me a list of questions about Kiro's sushi. And in theory, the AI can do this for us. What is the best type of sushi? What was your favorite thing to order on the menu? What dessert dish do you recommend? Look at this. These are excellent ideas for things that you could either include in this article or give you ideas for future articles. But that's the example of a command. You're just asking your AI assistant for something. The other thing that you would do to get more content is leads. You start your sentence halfway through or roughly right when you think you kind of know how the rest of the sentence would go anyways. You hit write for me in the case of Shortly. In Jarvis, it's called compose. And you just let the AI take over. And once again, it's about a topic that you know, so you're able to watch it, make sure that it's staying on point. And by the end of your article, you'll have a full article of content that is something that is written by you with the assistance of AI, not just completely written by AI. And so to close this off, I'm just going to do the same thing in Jarvis here real quick so you can see that too. So we got our context set. The interesting thing about Jarvis is you could probably put all this over here in the content description, because commands, if you have this toggled on, commands can actually see what's over here too. Inside of Shortly, when you run a command, the article brief content does not get used. Also, this title here, not used. So instruct command, if you run it right here, let me just, right, if you run an instruct command, oops, right here in the content, it's only going to use that. Title not used, article brief not used. All right. But inside of Jarvis, if you have this toggled on and this is on, you could put stuff in here to affect the commands as well. So let's see, write a glowing 5-star review about Kiro's sushi. And in Jarvis, you put the cursor at the end and hit Command Enter. You don't have to highlight it. Best sushi in the world, so fresh, can't, oh, it's repeating. Sometimes it does that, but I think I know why, maybe a little bit. Sometimes when you paste content in on tools like this, you have to kind of change something on the page once, like delete a character and re-add it or something, and then go back down a line, and then, do something like this, because sometimes for some reason it's like it can't really see it too good. There we go. I know that this review of Kiro Sushi sounds like an exaggeration, but let me assure you that it's not. The sushi restaurant is likely the best sushi you'll ever eat in your life. And see, exactly, it's a good start to a good review article. And, you know, let's see what Jarvis does with a exciting story of Kiro's Sushi. I mean, as exciting as you could probably make it, right? But yeah, so it's doing pretty decent amount of content. Let's see if it will give us an outline. And it's got quite a lot. See, like Jarvis will go back 2,000 or 3,000 characters. Since there's nothing in the content description, title, or keywords, it's probably going to use most of all that above it. Let's see if it can give us an outline that's on par with something like Shortly. Yep. Boom. How to get there from Tokyo Station. You probably would want to go from a different station, but you'd go from Shinjuku Station. But I guess it depends, right? If a traveler might land at, in Japan and make their way to Tokyo Station, then that's where they are. So your directions could go from there, right? Yeah, that's excellent. So there you go. Same thing. You can basically do exactly the same thing that you could do in Shortly instead of Jarvis. You get the same sort of content, and then you work on doing the dance and doing more commands until your article is complete. And again, it's not about, it doesn't have to be about like restaurants like I'm showing you here. It can be about whatever your topic is, whether Jarvis is trained on it or not, because Jarvis's information is up to something like late 2018 or something is when it was trained. But it doesn't necessarily have to be something that Jarvis knows about. If you can provide your thoughts, your context, I mean, if you think about it, this up here, right? Kiro Sushi in Shinjuku, that is not even real. And all of this stuff is my thoughts, my words, right? Like Jarvis isn't trained on this restaurant, but he's able to help me write about it. And so that's how you can write about anything using these AI writing tools. In particular, these two, ShortlyAI and Jarvis. These are the ones that allow for this type of flexibility in your writing, and that's why these are the two that I recommend if you're going to get serious about creating content that's really actually high quality and not just auto-generated stuff. And that's it for this video. I hope you found this helpful. I know it got a little bit long, but I really wanted to make sure that you're aware of those key components, and that really you should be writing about things that you're really well versed in, whether that's through experience or research. So yeah, there's that. If you have any questions or comments, just go down into the comment section below, and I'll be glad to help you out. And until next time, take care.